how high they are, and why don't you tell me your name and where you're from?
Well, my name is Sonny Dyess, and I'm from here, born here, raised here, military time, then come home. So
How do you,
my
how do you
wife's
spell your
been
name?
living in this house since the day she was born, and she's still here in this house. So been here all our lives.
Okay. And how do you spell your name?
Dyess.
Okay. And Sunny, Sunny.
Sonny.
Sonny. There you
That's
go.
that's not my real name. Real name's Robert, but I like Sonny better.
As long as you like it, that's what we're gonna call you. And so, are you retired now?
Yes,
How long you been retired?
3 years.
What did you do before that?
Trucks for the military. Anniston, Alabama, right by the Anniston Army Depot racetrack. Depot in the cross streets to Anniston, Alabama. And that's where our trucks were at. That's where our offices were.
And how long did you do that for?
10 years right there, but 20 something years up in that area.
Okay. And you were always doing stuff with trucks?
Yeah, except when we built the casinos, then we used dump trucks. And we had to do all that stuff with dump trucks.
So you're pretty familiar with.
Familiar with trucks.
Okay.
Very much familiar.
Now, would you say trucks getting stuck on these tracks is a problem around here?
Very much so. It's dangerous. It's not so much just the truck getting stuck because they have to shut the 33rd completely down. The problem is the new truck drivers don't talk to other truck drivers on the CBs to find out how to get out of the port of Gulfport and get back up. So they try to find their ways with GPS, which don't work. Trying to go to the hospital, you run a GPS, or you're trying to get across the track. That's what happened to the guy recently here. It was a GPS. He was following GPS, and when you're going south, that's fine because the road's up and you fall off on the other side. But if you're coming from the south going north on 33rd Avenue, the problem is when the truck gets over, then the landing gears on that trailer are going to come down and catch that track. And once they lock in, it's just about impossible to get them out. So the poor truck driver has to call for records, or some of us around here would call. And Kenny's probably the only one that's really got a humongous record. They'll come pick them up and pull them backwards, or they'll pick them up and the truck will go forward, and then they'll back up the truck and back the trailer up and get it off. But most of the time, you have a lot of train traffic. Train traffic is serious because it's a lot of trains move through here every day, morning to the evening, north, west, and east. So what happens is you don't know when a truck's coming. Well, the name of the game is if you're stuck on a railroad track, you cross the two tracks, that sends a signal to the main office, wherever that's at, and tells them that something's wrong with the track. So most truck drivers who drive trucks know that you throw a set of jumper cables across it. Put two jumper cables across, one to the other, and it sends a signal saying, hey, something's wrong with the track. Stop the train. So this last incident, nobody did any of that stuff. And when that train hit, he said he put on brakes in Long Beach, but he had 160 cars behind him, which is pushing him, and he couldn't stop it. And he hit that truck, and it had paper. Well, it had stuff that you make the plastic signs with. He had all that just loaded at the Board of Gulfport. And when it hit, them big old rolls, and I mean, they big, like, I don't know what they weigh a piece, probably 1,000 pounds. They just scattered all over that corner and went through people's fences, went in people's yards, hit people's cars. So can they fix it? Yeah, they can fix it a lot of ways. Off the interstate, they bought property to come from the truck stops down through the woods, tie into 30th Avenue, which is the 4-lane. That is up from the interstate all the way down here. But that was years ago they did that, but they haven't done nothing with it since they cleared it. So that would take the traffic off Canal Road and 28th Street, which is two of the busiest streets in Gulfport. And trucks use them because it's not illegal. So the problem everybody's got is nobody wants to get off their butts in the state of Mississippi and fix this problem down here before somebody actually gets killed bad. Because when a train hits you, if he's going 15 miles an hour and he's got 100 cars behind him, when he hits you, it ain't going to stop. He's not going to stop because he doesn't have the time. It's kind of like a truck. A loaded truck will go through basically 3 sets of telephone poles distance before you can even start to get that truck to stop. And if you don't, then whoever's on the other end of getting that's going to get killed. So the same problem arose with the trucks, but I haven't dug into the city to see why it hadn't been done or the state why it hadn't been done. But all of it really falls back to the trucks. You come off the port of Gulfport, you're right in front of the 4-lane road. You take that 4-lane road all the way up, but then when you get all the way up there, you're at Highway 53, and it's only 2 lanes, so you either go right or you go left. You go right, you go to 49, then you take 49 up. If you go left, like you're going westbound, you got a long way to go before you get to Bogalusa, Poplarville, or any of those up in that area. So it's just it's a traffic thing that needs to be solved that nobody has solved, and I don't really know the answer why.
Well, what do you think? Did this happen in the past? Because you said how long have you been?
No, my wife's been in this house for 75 years now. I've been in this house for 60. So, I forgot the question.
So how long have you been here? You said.
I've been here since 1975. We got married, and I've been here ever since.
Have you seen more trucks getting stuck in the last, I don't know, let's say 5 years?
Yeah, I sure have. It's not the first one. It's constant. And so until you can say, well, we've got signs up, but a truck driver can't read a sign that's this big real quick and say, oh, there's a track here, I can't go across it. The warning has to be way before it. Within a good 150 feet, easily he needs to see what's going on. Southbound, fine. Northbound, no, don't do it. Go back to the 4-lane roads and take the 4 lanes up north.
And so what do you think has just changed with the trucking industry that's led to it happening more often now?
Drivers, one, don't talk on CBs to find out where's what, how to get to where and all that. Everybody runs on GPS. Well, I got a GPS that tells me to go from downtown Gulfport to the hospital, so we're going to go down 14th Street. Well, that's fine and dandy, except 14th Street's been cut off down there. The railroad did kill it because a lady got killed there years ago. And so that's cut off. That's downtown Gulfport, 14th Street. Well, this is 14th Street. This is downtown Gulfport. The problem is it doesn't update on the GPSs. But a solution, truck drivers need to pay more attention to the routes and pay attention to the CB. But people don't talk on CBs anymore. Not when we were all growing up. We all talked on CBs. Even when we had cars, we talked on. But today they don't do that. And to go past the CDL test, a piece of cake. It's nothing to it. Driving the truck, nothing to it. But once you get a load underneath you, that changes all the programs.
So it's kind of like the stuff that you've just learned by doing with the jumper cables, just knowing the routes, talking on the CB. That's just something that's
It's kind of quit. I mean, this gentleman that got stuck down here the other day, he was just kind of standing in front of his truck when he got caught. We went down there and saw what was going on. I said, you got some jumper cables in that truck? He said, yeah. Give them to us. We put them across the tracks. Me and Jonathan did at the time. It's just learning and take knowledge from people who drove trucks for years, who own trucks, who know kind of what's going on. Because Gulfport went from a real nice small town to now you can't get around. There's just that many people moved down here. I'm really not. People tell me we came down here because it's cheaper to live, and I was like, well, I was born here, so I don't know really the difference. But people down here today there's too many cars. They don't pay attention. They're too worried about getting to A to B, and they're looking at their telephone, or they're talking to the person beside them instead of looking at that road, knowing what's getting ready to happen, especially when you get to an intersection. And truck drivers are in the same position. They'll get paying attention to other stuff instead of paying attention to that road and that thing. But in the truck driver's defense, we did this just before I retired. We now have cameras inside the truck to watch the drivers. We have cameras all the way around the truck to watch what's going on. So if you get a wreck, which we happen to be in one in Florida, and the driver said, well, he cut me off. And I just come run over me. He turned in front of the trucks, what he did on a 4-lane road. And so the driver said, okay, I've got a video in here on my GPSs that stay on all the time with this truck. So the highway patrolman jumped in, looked at it, said, got out and said, you turned in front of him. He ain't at fault, you were at fault. And so they could see it. All that technology is fine and dandy, but it's got to be integrated. People have to learn how to use it. So that's the biggest problem we have. Is people just
But even just physically, you think just moving the signs up 150 feet on both sides to let drivers know if they're going that way?
the signs are very important. They got stop signs now that have the LEDs all the way around that sit there and flash all the time at you. You see them way before you get to them. And that wouldn't be a bad idea doing that on any of the tracks. The tracks to tell them, hey, you're coming up on a railroad track and you cannot get because of this incline on this side, the other side's okay, but you're on this side. So if you're a truck driver and you've got 48 foot sitting behind you, your truck gets over, your trailer's not going to get over. And that's what all this has always been about down here is running into the tracks with your landing gear, or somebody comes over with a low boy and you can't get the low boy across it and all that. And, we've been in the same position. Low boy, you can scoop. You can just drag it on across. But then you got to have the back tandem wheels have got to be on the ground to pull. And so that sometimes that don't work out. But it's just I think technology has gone so fast and so far, and the newer people coming up aren't really getting into paying attention, learning from the old people. The old drivers, old truck drivers are the best in the world because they've been doing it so long. They pretty well know what's going on. But young kids in cars today are just, you know, I have seen so many people run stop signs or this caddy corner right here. They just go flying up through it. They don't even think that, hey, my life could be over in 2 seconds if I don't pay attention to that sign. And the same holds true with a big truck. When a big truck is nothing but pure hell coming at you, and when he hits you, he might be at fault or he might be at right. When he hits you, you're gonna die. You're gonna get crushed in that car. And I always tell my children they got little cars close to the ground. I go, nope, nope. I want a truck and a big truck, a Suburban. I want to be sure that I can walk away from whatever I get involved in. So it's just paying attention more than anything. Pay attention to what's going on, and that's the biggest key to the whole thing. Young kids today, they don't have any idea. And of course, I guess we were all just like that too. I mean, we go drag racing the Seaway Road on Saturday night, drinking beer, drag racing. And the sheriff's cars come get us. But I mean, it's just paying attention. The trucks and the trailers and the railroad are three very dangerous things. So it's no different than an airplane running on a runway and overshot the entrance and landed too long and can't stop at the other end. Trains are the exact same way.
Are you catching other trucks just getting stuck on it? No trains coming, but you see a truck get cat?
I hadn't seen no truck get there when there wasn't no train coming because trains come all day long. But no, yeah, we've had several of them get stuck and nothing was coming at the time. But the key is telling the people who monitor the tracks, hey, something's wrong.
And one way they can do that is with those jumper
The
cables.
jumper cable or a steel pipe, anything that crosses that track tells you that there's a problem. A car has a wreck and frames down on the ground on the track both sides. It'll notate them that, hey, we got a problem. Something's crossed the track and stuff. So or the tracks collapsed. And that goes true for when you start looking at the train that derailed with all the chemicals up north, and all those people are now sick or died. It's paying attention and getting to the right authorities quick time. But that was a pretty hellacious wreck right there because you got we call them the ding dings, the arms that come down and the big control and everything. He didn't just they took down all those arms plus they took down the control center. I mean everything went at one time. And then the big rolls went everybody's house like I done told you. But it's just paying attention more than it is anything. Don't get in your car and start driving and talk on the telephone or you're on your tablet trying to answer something. It's the same with a truck driver. Truck drivers aren't supposed to do that stuff. And you can get a ticket for that. And your company's not going to be real happy when you get it because they have a thing called points. And the feds pay attention to those points. You get X amount of points on your company, they can come in and audit all your books and everything and see exactly what you're doing and why you got ticketed and why did this happen. And because you're limited to, I forgot what the hours are now for driving every day in a day. think it's 400 miles or something like that.
Yeah, about 400 or 500.
Yeah, but back when we were driving, when we were coming up, you could drive 800 miles a day, nobody cared. But today they pay real close attention to that, and it's getting the CDL license is fine, and Danny is a truck driver, but you better learn what the road's all about before you just get on out there. Somebody gives you a truck to deliver something in somewhere that you don't know nothing about. But then on the other hand, you've got the maps and the GPS up there that you can look at and see all this stuff. And then you pretty well know what you're coming up on and what happens. So, a lot of people don't use that stuff. It's fun to use, though, because it teaches you a lot. And then people on the Mississippi Gulf Coast go get a snowstorm with 7 inches of snow falling. That happens once every 25, 30 years. Driving a truck in the snow is one of the hardest things in the world because it's ice underneath that snow. Mm-hmm. So it makes it very difficult on that. But it's just paying attention more than anything. Learn. Talk to the older people. You might say, oh, they just know fogey. They don't know nothing. Yeah, I've heard that said about me before. I was like, hey, whatever. If you take a tugboat and you're driving it and you're pushing a barge and you're coming up on a bridge, you better know you can get through the bridge. Mm-hmm. Same with the truck driver. He's got to know what he's getting ready to face.
And did you see that Long Beach is getting some money from the state to level out some of those roads?
Yeah, and I just happen to have a son that works over there at Long Beach in the main building, and we talked about that. Yeah, they get to try to do some of that stuff, and it'd be a great idea. This one right here should have been changed years ago. It should have been changed back when I was a kid, knowing what the trucks were going to do coming up. It should have been changed then, but now we're playing politics, and it's the worst thing in the sun, politics. How do you value somebody's life? The lady that died while they closed that track down there was a school teacher that taught all us in high school. She was in a Cadillac, could barely see. She had to look through the steering wheel to see where she was going. That's how little she was. She pulled out in front of the train and it killed her instantly. Another kid crossed the track down here drunk, walking right around this corner. Drunk. Train ran over him. I mean, it's just, today it's paying attention to what's going on. It's just not happening no more. They don't talk. Nobody talks. So, but
anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'm old. Nobody wants to listen to an old man. But it's fun. The truck drivers are the backbone of this country. They're the ones that move the food and move the products. And people don't realize that is an important item that would shut the country down real quick. Teamsters proved that back during that Teamster strike. But it's just understanding what's going on, learning, being patient, being calm, listen to your parents, your grandparents, or your next door neighbor who drove a truck for many years, or that's all there is to it. Or the 8 people that pile up in a van from your neighborhood to go to Ingalls to work every day, 8 in a van. Well, you have a wreck in a van with 8 people in the van, somebody's going to die. And that's the kind of stuff we all grew up with. But now there's just too many people on the road. That's all it boils down to. And they don't have enough knowledge to know what's going on. So
nobody was taught how to drive. They just issue license like.
Oh yeah, if you're gonna get a driver's license. Well, back when we were getting driver's license, we still did the road thing. But you get a driver's license, and all you do is drive around the parking lot. Mm-hmm. You come out, you got a driver's license. Yeah. That's crazy. That is just crazy. Luckily, I ain't had that problem with any of my family yet. I hope I never do. I did. Son got a truck, went to school at Harrison Central, and he wanted to drive to school by himself. His mother went and rode with him. I told him how to do it. I said, all right, when you get in the truck next morning, go that way. Well, what did he do? Buddy has called about 2 miles across from him. He come get me. We'll ride together. Well, I got the phone call about 9 in the morning. Hey, Dad, your truck's wrecked. It's over on Town Road. I said, what do you mean it's wrecked? Well, they were over there. What are they doing over there? Well, he went over there to pick up his buddy to go to Central, and I got there, and all I saw was the truck leaning over and sitting on top of a big pine stump with on the differential with the axles up in the air, and I was sitting there going, So I drove back over to my yard. I went over there and I said, "Hey, where's Sandy?" He knew you were coming, and he ran out through them woods going toward them power lines. And I said, "Okay, I'll get him sooner or later. It ain't gonna matter. He might as well just leave me alone." But that's the biggest thing. Is paying attention is the biggest part. Pay attention. I don't care if you're our ages or you're 16. Pay attention, because a car wreck, with a train, or with a big truck, you're not gonna walk away from that thing unscathed. That's the thing people don't understand. Don't race to the track to jump it because a train's coming. Leave something bigger than you alone. That's the key to that's the whole key to the whole program. And get your politicians to fix the roads that need to be fixed. Something that's very, very important. Fix the road if you're having a lot of wrecks there. So, but I'm not a politician. Don't want to be either. It's just interesting. But I think the biggest key to the whole thing, like I said, is just pay attention. Drive down the road. Don't pull out and think about something while you're pulling out and not paying attention which way you're going. I did that with the railroad downtown Gulfport one day. That big old ding ding sits in the middle of the road. Been there since I was a kid, baby. Looked right, looked left, looked back right, turned the wheel, was moving out, didn't even think. I hit that ding ding at 10 miles an hour. Broke my wife's sternum. That bashed the car up bad. So, just and I was at fault. It was my fault. So, but anyway. Doing the interview. You want to come on? Okay. I think she would. Okay.
It's all right if you gotta go take a phone call. I got more than enough.
Well, you got enough to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to the railroad tracks. That's the biggest thing. Just pay attention. So, because when you get hit by a train, Richard, Jonathan, me, all of us will hear it, and we will be coming. And one of the trucks that hit down here is funny because it was a banana truck. Guy did the same thing, didn't pay attention. There were bananas all over the place.
Did you grab any?
I didn't grab any, but I'll bet you $1 we had 700 people down here picking up bananas and picking up crates of bananas, and I'm looking at them going, "Why you want a banana?" But that's where Gulfport's the second biggest, largest for the bananas, if I remember right. So yeah, it's the kind of things like that happen. But when somebody's life gets taken, that's when it gets serious. But that ain't happened yet, thank God, except that one on the end down yonder. But that is it.
All right. Thank you so much.